Well. You're listening to Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright then, I may say words on point, straightforward. No jibber jabber, everybody forward. Issues, facts and solution. Get it at Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright, what other thing is a revolution? Get it on point with Professor Buitrón. Gloves Off, no nonsense issues, politics, community. A better men for Laredo. Gloves Off, a revolutionary show with everything that you need to know. With Professor Buitrón. Watch ya!
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.
Back at you in Gloves Off, I'm Professor Buitrón. I'm here with Mr. Carlos Perez, who is running for LC board now, right?
LC.
How are we doing today?
Doing great. Happy to be here with you this morning.
Well, number one, thank you for standing up, and we need people to stand up and run in these elected positions. And I'm going to ask you a question. Why would you run? Why? What motivated you to say, you know what, I have to stand up and write my name on that dotted line?
That's an excellent question. I think I've been asked that by several people, including my own wife. Because it's going to be a big undertaking for us, for our family. It's a citywide election because it's the way LC works at the places, so it's a citywide election, and it's going to be a lot of work. But the reason we decided to do it, despite the work and everything that we have to go through, is because I've been in education for 22 years, so it'll be my 23rd year this year. And during those 22 years, I mean, I've seen a lot of things in education that promote development of our community, promote success for our students, not just academically, but in other ways. But I've also seen areas where we can improve, areas where we can do better as a community. I had the opportunity to work with UISD, LASD, and LC. It used to be Laredo Community College, now it's LC's. And I worked with them for almost 8 to 9 years. In enrollment services, financial aid, different areas of student services. And then I worked at Pikes Peak Community College as well in Colorado, in the same field, same setting. And then when I moved back to Laredo a couple of years ago and started working in high school again with seniors, teaching government and economics, I realized that bringing in recruiters into the classroom from different colleges and universities, speaking with my students about their future, there's a lot of empathy when it comes to education. Students feel that either they can't get in, they're not going to be successful, they've seen their brothers or sisters go to college, drop out, start working in other areas that don't require degrees. And that really motivated me the last 2 years, to be honest with you, to try to do more, not just be a teacher. It's an incredible career being a teacher, educator, but to also get involved at the with our community, here in this particular case, at running for place 8 with Laredo College, to try to provide more opportunities for our students, economic development for our city, working to expand programs, bring in new programs that will serve our population, our community, so that when our students graduate, sometimes they feel, well, I want to do welding, but there's not enough spaces for a welding class. And some of them go out of town. I had that happen this last year. We also have students who think LC is not the place for them. They feel, well, I'm an AP student, I need to go to a big university, 4-year university. And we have conversations about that. You're going to spend a lot more money. You can start here locally, like I did. I mean, I'm a product of LC, went to TAMU, actually to the UT Law, dropped out of that because I decided I didn't want to be an attorney, I wanted to be an educator. But just making sure that the students have those opportunities, by making sure the college is able to provide those opportunities. Also, at the same time, working with the college and working with the community to bring in business, entrepreneurship, foster those things, grow those things that we're needed in our community. Because the way I see it, everything is changing economically in this country, and we used to rely on everybody we used to push the idea of everybody needs to go to college and just get a 4-year degree. I don't see that as the future. I see technical, vocational work as the future of our community. Those skills are gone. People don't know how to fix their own. They have a tire blowout, or they don't know how to change a tire. They don't know how to fix some pipes in their house that burst. All those skills are gone. We need to train more people in those areas so that we can have those jobs available to our community, because they're needed. And it's disappearing because of the way we're educating our students now. It's all about academics, and we need more technical vocational opportunities, and not just for the young. At the high school level, I've seen it also with people having to return to school, especially like right now during the pandemic. A lot of people lost their jobs. And I know LC has some money that they're offering some free classes right now to people so they can re-educate themselves to some extent and become somebody who can get a job once again in our community. So those are good programs, but we need to expand on those and provide opportunities for people to get into those programs, because a lot of times they're very small. There's only so many spaces in the truck driving program, there's only so many spaces in the welding, so many spaces in the, let's say, auto mechanics or the diesel mechanics. Grow the programs. They're there, they're good. Let's do more for that. So that's what I'm in it for, to be honest with you. It's just, I see that we need to focus on our future, and that's our students. And also on our current situation that's going on with unemployment and all that, we need to focus on that as well.
Absolutely. You mentioned a lot of great points, and those are great points. Number one, let's talk about the vocational aspect of it. It seems that it has dwindled in the past several years. Even though they say that they're building them, I have yet to see that. I remember when we were growing up, our high schools had auto mechanics and had wood shop and also had some welding, and all of a sudden that has dissipated throughout UISD and LISD. But those are actually jobs that are being gathered and garnished now, especially with the fracking, especially with the oil businesses. Welders were needed left and right. Job Corps was producing more welders than LCC, and we need to understand, and we have to see the trend of where those businesses are and how those businesses are being acquired. You mentioned one thing about truck drivers. We're the biggest land port in the nation. We're the biggest port in the nation. That's what that's our. We pat ourselves on the back for all the time, but yet we don't have truck driving schools that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they should be having truck driving schools all the time. They should even have their own campus on truck driving.
Yeah, because
that's what we have here.
There's just so much need for it.
It's needed, and that's something that we should be looking for, because that's what we have here. That's the businesses that we have, and yet we're not producing them. I was a teacher in LCC. I was an adjunct instructor for a very long time. I was teaching Savat as part of the kinesiology for about 9 years. My class was always filled. It was always to the point that people wanted to go into kinesiology and be coaches and so on and so forth, and then to go out. They were never recruited or kept here. All the coaches were going to San Antonio and Houston and Dallas and all over the place, which is great for our students.
Yes, it is. But that's the brain drain that they talk about. It's
Understand?
Like a lot of people leave when they get those skills.
And so we need to keep we have to keep our populace here if we want to be number one, as they say they want to make Laredo the best, right?
Definitely.
you can't say you're the best when you're not trying to be the best.
Mhm.
Okay, you can claim,
Yeah.
but if you're not trying, you ain't gonna be there. And you know, I have a saying that says, you can only be best if you hang around with people that are better than you for making you better.
Mhm.
Understand?
That's very
And if you're a leader and you have people here that really don't want to lead, then it becomes something else, and then it kind of just dissipates, right?
Yes.
I was very saddened by the news that they removed the athletic department and they removed the coaches and the way they behave with them. That was a stronghold here. You know, how about all their kids that have scholarships to come to school? How are they going to be treated? What's going to happen? You know, we're going to lose more students that way. We need people that go out there and are realists about what's happening and what's happening in the future,
Mhm.
than trying to pat somebody else on the back that's going to be making a contractual agreement to build something else because, you know, he was a friend of ours and we send him a contract that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I know.
So, other than that, we have a great school. We have some great educators here. We have some professors there that have touched many kids and have produced great adults. And we have to, how can I say, we have to maintain that,
Mhm.
okay? And how do you feel about the issue of the athletics department?
I had the opportunity to, when I worked at, I mentioned I worked at Laredo College. When I worked at Laredo Community College back then, like you, the time that I was there, I had the opportunity to be in charge of the NJCAA certification.
Sure.
And I worked with the coaches very closely. At the time, it was Troy.
Sure.
And we would work very closely on making sure all the students met the requirements to be able to play whatever sport is they were playing. And I think it's a great program to have. I think we need it. The only thing, we need it back. The only thing that I saw as a downside was the recruitment of international students. I have nothing against that, but I wanted the way that I felt about it when I worked there was I wanted to see our local talent.
Sure.
You know, we have United South High School where I work. We, you know, the grade Sweet 16, you know, people like that being recruited into a baseball team, into our tennis teams. We have great athletes here in the local community. So that was one of the only things that I saw that I would have liked to have changed had I had the opportunity to. Where our focus was not in just winning, but our focus would have been on making sure that we were providing opportunities, like you said, scholarships, things of that nature to our local students. Because some of them do get picked up. When I was at LCC, they would get picked up at universities and continue their education and continue their careers. It became a career for them as sports. I mean, I myself, I'm a runner, avid runner. I run marathons. Try to get into cycling. Haven't been able to really do it, but you know, they teach discipline. They teach a lot of things that
Absolutely.
Yeah, just academics alone is not going to teach you some of the things you learn in sports, teamwork.
Absolutely. You know, a discipline is the thing that you need.
Mhm.
It's a discipline of where you're going to be there, the time frame you have to be there, the time to exercise, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And I think that's what we needed. Athletes build upon that, and once they continue building that, I think that's what expands into better grades.
Mhm.
And especially if you exercise, you have to pass in order to train.
Yeah,
Understand?
definitely. Yeah.
And you see that. You see that. Here's another question. On the vocational aspect, would you try to push more vocation?
I would like to see more. One of the things I've noticed, being back in Laredo the last few years, like one example of a program that we don't have at LC is solar panels. They're going up all over Laredo now. But those programs, I know that they have them either Corpus Christi or Victoria College have those programs. You know, it's going to be the future of Laredo and the rest of our country. Maybe bring some of those in. Things like the windmill programs that are out of Victoria or Corpus as well. They're going into Hebron and places like that and offering those programs to those students, which is in our, you know, close to our county here. We could offer things of that nature as well for our community. So, I mean, it's been oil and gas in the past, welding. Now, I think expanding into other areas would be a good idea. So I would like to expand opportunities, and if there's more ideas out there that people have, that people want to bring in, I mean, I'm open to listening to all this because, you know, if elected and I get to represent our community, I would want to see more programs that lead to jobs, that lead to people starting, you know, their own businesses, and at the same time hiring people to work in those businesses. And so I would expand upon them, and at the same time, the capacity of the programs is very important.
Sure.
That's the other thing that I see that we need to work with. I mean, hiring 1 or 2 instructors to teach truck driving, as we were talking, is not enough. I mean, there's a lot more need for truck driving. As in the biggest, I mean, we are the biggest land port in the country, and if we don't have, why are we hiring truck drivers? I mean, they're coming from Mexico. There's truck drivers that can cross and go all the way to San Antonio or whatever. We need to do it here in Laredo, and I think, you know, by expanding the programs, expanding capacity within the programs, we'd be doing the community a great benefit. I mean, we would benefit our community immensely.
Absolutely.
There's so many students that want to get into that, but they don't. They wait. They're like, well, I couldn't get in this semester, maybe next semester. And that turns into, I'm working at HEB, I'm making decent money, I'm just going to stay there for now. And then it'll be 10 years later, it's like, you know what, I need to go back to school. I was just talking with a friend of mine from Austin, and he's a former military, and he's never had any formal school. His wife's working here with FEMA. And he was telling me, we were talking about social media, he was telling me, you know what, I'm going to go back to school. I'm trying to pass this TSI exam so that I can go get an education again, because I need it. And I asked him, why do you need it? He's like, well, because he's been working with not a welding company, some kind of a manufacturing, but he does a very small portion of the manufacturing there in Austin. And, you know, he wants to be able to go back to school and retrain and do something different with his life. And I totally support that. I told him, as an educator, anything I can do for you. I had another friend who worked on a campaign recently in District 23, I believe, in the Congressional District. And he was letting me know that he's also very interested in returning to school. He asked me if I could be one of his references, and I've known him for some time, and of course I agreed. So it's not only our current high school students, but we need to have programs available for everyone.
Absolutely.
Not just because people are going back to school right now, and I think,
you know, and you see that, and we have to. People, you stop when you. How can I put it? You end when you stop learning, and you always have to continue learning. You know, and that's the way I look at it. You always have to continue, whether learning a new program or learning what have you. You know, and because the world evolves around that. You know, and you have kids that you know. I have a problem with technical support. I give it to my son, and my son goes, "Oh, okay, it's fixed." No, okay, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that we used to do for our fathers. You know, but that they happen that now they're the ones that are doing it, and it's funny. You know, it's I guess that's what life is.
The world has changed so much. I mean, the last 20 years, we went from dial-up modems to now everything's on a phone. It's just been very interesting to see the evolution of the world. And you know, another thing that I've been talking about with some of the people who are working with me on this campaign, because it's not just me, it's about the community, so lots of people on. And I've talked to some people, and they say that what's lacking a lot of times also are skills that translate into employability. You know, somebody who has a degree, associates or bachelor's, but they cannot write an email. I had one person give me an example of the whole email. They asked them one of their employees to write an email for them, and the whole email was written in the subject line. You know, we have very bright students, but you know, some of those skills get lost because of technology, because people are always on their phones, and you know, we need to go back and those marketable skills, they're called.
Absolutely.
Yeah, bring more of that. But integrate that into our programs. Technical, vocation, whatever it is we're doing, integrate marketable skills into those.
Your race runs concurrent with the city and the state and federal race?
That is correct.
So it'll be November 3rd?
November 3rd.
So you're only going to have about 3 weeks early voting, correct?
That is correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is citywide? Again,
it's citywide.
For people out there?
Yes, there are three positions that are for re-election with Laredo College, and this is Place 8 is the one that I'll be running. Okay.
Now, if somebody wants to help you, how can they contact you?
We are in the process of finalizing our Facebook website.
Sure.
Our Facebook site. We decided not to go with websites. I have a brother who works in software, and he told me, you know, nobody actually visits websites anymore. Get on social media, and so we're gonna do Facebook. We're gonna do Twitter, Instagram. Facebook is already set up. It just hasn't been put out to the public yet because we're still finalizing some things. It's CG Perez for LC. And they can contact us through there. My email is cgperez4, the number 4, lc@mail.com. They can also reach us at our phone that'll be published on the Facebook site. Twitter, Instagram will be the same, cgperez4lc. So, and we want to get as much community involvement as possible because This race is not really about me, it's about what can we do as a community. I want to listen to the voices of not just the faculty and staff, they're important to me, but also our students, our community members, our taxpayers. What is it that they want? What is it that they feel they need? Our local business owners, what are they looking for? What do they want the college to produce?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm an executive chef. Many do not know that. And we don't have wait staff. We don't have waiters that actually know waiting. Know what it is to wait the table. How it is, how do you present everything. And that's kind of interesting, and I was talking to a friend of mine that's up in Dallas, and there's a culinary school, and he goes, you know what, I'm bringing in a waiter for so-and-so to do a seminar, and I go, we need it. I go, we need it. And we need that etiquette. And that etiquette needs to be out there, and we have to start pushing that trade along, or else it's no longer going to be there. But those are trades that people say, no, it's no good, they're just waiters. No. They're making a living. They're working. It's an honorable work. That's just a vocation that I'm putting in there. And people should understand how to have that etiquette.
No, definitely.
And you know what I'm saying? So little bitty minute things that we see every day, but that is a trade.
And people look down upon, like you said, about just a waiter, but I remember when I graduated college back in the 98, I graduated. I had a friend who graduated maybe a couple of years later, and he moved to Austin, and he had a degree in business, but he didn't pursue, at least for the first few years, anything in business. He got the opportunity to work at a restaurant as a waiter, and then he got an opportunity to work at a nicer restaurant, and he was making as much as I was as a teacher or more, just waiting tables, because of the fact that it is it's a vocation that people look frown upon or look down upon, but it's still making money. So in some cases, you can make more money than people would imagine.
Absolutely, and these are trades that in France and in England, there's actual associations and guilds on this. And here we've lost that. We have to get it back up there. That's just one of them. Barbers are the other ones that we're popping up all over the place. We need those schools back here again. I mean, there are some schools, but those locations seem to be up there. Yeah. And these are vocations that people kind of look down. And I tell my parents and my students here, and I tell them, you bring your son, they're learning a vocation. Because hopefully when they're 18, 20 years old, and they're off in college, they can be teaching at a local rec center, and they can be making money. Yes. And they have all the backing of us and the associations that we belong to. That's what needs to.
And open their own business eventually.
Absolutely, that's what you want. Yeah. You know what I mean. Once it's open, that's what you want.
Yeah, I have another friend from the Valley who's just opening. He just announced he's opening a gym out there in the Valley, and he's going to be teaching not this particular style of martial arts. He's going to be teaching. I don't remember maybe you know the name. It's the Israeli.
Yeah, Krav Maga.
Yeah, he's going to be teaching Krav Maga down in the Valley. And he invited me, but I'm like, I can't be going down there all the time. It sounds like a great opportunity. Yeah, but people do that. They learn a skill, they learn a vocation, a trade, and they go out there and start
that's what it's all about.
And that gets back to the community, because they hire people, they train the people. It's a great thing to be able to start a business and move your people up. I mean, one of the things that I've always believed in, and you can ask anybody from when I worked at LC, having been a director there at various levels, I always promoted people from within. I always wanted to see my own, people rise up and move up in the institution and the community, and even as a recommendation. If they needed it, I always wanted to help, because the way I felt is, if you are ready to take the next step, take it. And I think we should do that not just for people we oversee as employers or as managers, supervisors, but as a community in general. Grow our own,
absolutely,
help our community rise up. And like you said, be number one, like we always say we want it to be.
We have to, and that's what we need to do in Laredo. Be proud of Laredo. I always tell this to people. When I was in high school, there used to be billboards that said Laredo proud, and there were also some other billboards that said, "Let's keep the buck in Laredo."
I remember those.
You remember those?
Yes.
Let's keep the buck in Laredo. In the '80s, you don't see that anymore. No. Everybody now, I'm going to go to San Antonio because my dentist is over there. I'm going to go to San Antonio because my hairstyle is over there. I'm going to go. How about here?
We have all those.
I'm going to go to San Antonio because, my doctor's over there. How about the doctor's here? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've seen that way too often. I see it happen.
You know what I'm saying? We have them here.
And then we're losing the money, goes off to another community, and it doesn't come back to Laredo. And that's the sad fact of what's going on. And we need to be community minded as far as making sure that we do those things. Keep the buck here, Laredo. This is where we live. Let's promote our own city. People complain about there's nothing to do in Laredo. Well, maybe there's something to do in your view in Laredo, but there are things that we
There's
can.
always something to do.
There's always something to do here, and I think if we expand on our economic opportunities and bring more business and start up new businesses like yours, it's not new, but you have a business.
Sure.
Those are things that people will make more money. You need money to be able to go out there and spend it. People want to bring things in, but it's like, do we have the money to go out there and spend it? So once we have the jobs, once we secure those first, I feel that then we can start asking, okay, why don't we have a Dave and Buster's? I mean, I know we have some of those local places that sprung up, but they want places like that. It's like, well, we'll get them. Let's develop economically first, get the money, because businesses look at communities. I was reading a study, since I teach economics, about how dollar stores, they look for the lowest income areas and they set up shop in those areas. We have so many dollar stores because they know that the income here is low compared to other places in the nation. And so,
Absolutely.
I teach in United South, but I have students tell me, well, we have a bunch of them over here because we're at South and it's a poor area. I'm like, no, go by HEB up there in the north and there's a big general dollar store up there too. They're everywhere because the community itself, we need to bring up our income levels as far as the median income. Everything needs to go up. So
You brought up an excellent point. That is something that's how the corporate world looks at Laredo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they look at Laredo like, you're second class, and we're not second class.
We're definitely not.
And that's what we need to change again, And
The
that's
mentality of, because we change our own mentality, the corporations will start to begin to look at us differently. I only lived, I told you earlier, 1 year in Colorado Springs. The Colorado Springs was all about promoting Colorado Springs
Sure.
as much as possible.
Absolutely.
And they attracted, the military was there, which was great for them, but
The
they
Olympic
attracted,
centers are there.
yeah, Olympic centers, the Air Force Academy, but
Sure.
they attracted so many people from, not just, it was like a center for people from all over the country were moving there, looking for new opportunities. And there were so many because word got out, we're looking for people and they were looking to diversify their economy. And the college that I worked at the time, Pikes Peak Community College, I was only there 1 year, but they had initiatives to try to do that as much as possible, and to engage students, retain students. That's another big thing that I'm all for, student retainment. I know it's a little bit off topic what we're talking about, but what I saw working those 8, 9 years at LC, or LCC back then in Pikes Peak, is that you lose students after a year, 2 years at the most. Because of financial aid, that's a big kicker. So, working on retainment programs, keeping students engaged, providing services as support services for students as well.
Absolutely. Well, number one, I want to thank you for standing up, and the best of luck.
Thank you.
And let's go get the community,
Definitely.
and that's what you need to do. And November 3rd is not that far away.
No, it's not. And we're looking forward to it. Like I said, we thank you for the time, and we're looking forward to building a community-based coalition of individuals who share the same values, the same interests.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And come back here again. Come back here sometime in later September, October, and let us know how it's going.
Definitely.
Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Buitrón.
Until next time.
Appreciate it.
Peace. Folks, remember, research each candidate and look carefully at each and every single person that's running. Until next time, peace.
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.